Russia's foreign minister responded on Thursday to French President Emmanuel Macron's remarks in which he described Russia as a threat to France and Europe. According to Associated Press, during a news briefing in Moscow, Sergey Lavrov called Macron's comments "stupid accusations" and "a threat to Russia." Macron said on Wednesday he would discuss with European allies the possibility of using France's nuclear deterrent to protect the continent from Russian threats, amid concerns over potential U.S. disengagement. In relation to these, well, frankly speaking, stupid accusations of Russia preparing a war against Europe and France, Putin has repeatedly spoken out, calling such thoughts delirious nonsense, Lavrov said Thursday after talks with his Zimbabwean counterpart. In the context of Macron's rhetoric, the possible deployment of European peacekeeping forces in Ukraine will mean a direct, official, undisguised involvement of NATO countries in a war against the Russian Federation, Lavrov added. Facing the prospect that the United States might cut them adrift under President Donald Trump, European Union leaders launched a day of emergency talks Thursday in a bid to beef up their own security and ensure that Ukraine will still be properly protected. It all underscored the sea change that has taken place in the 2 months since Trump took office and immediately started questioning the cornerstones of cooperation between the United States and Europe that had been the bedrock of Western security since World War II.
Уважаемый господин министр, дорогой друг, коллеги, мы рады видеть вас в Москве.
We are glad to see you in Moscow.
Я имею возможность теперь уже лично поздравить вас с недавним назначением главой внешнеполитического ведомства Зимбабве. Что рассчитываю сегодня весь этот комплекс вопросов обсудить, в том числе обменяться мнениями о дальнейшем развитии российского партнерства с Африкой.
Zimbabwe is committed to strengthen its relations and continue with the excellent relations between itself and the Russian Federation. That's exactly what takes us here, to make sure that we are very strong.
Signing ceremony is completed. Let's move on to the press conference.
Это угроза в адрес России. Если он нас считает угрозой, собирает встречу начальников генеральных штабов европейских стран и Британии. Говорит, что необходимо использовать ядерное оружие, готовиться к использованию ядерного оружия против России. Это, конечно же, угроза.
BBC, пожалуйста.
И в отношении вот этих, ну прямо скажем, неумных обвинений России в подготовке войны против Европы и Франции, Путин неоднократно высказывался, называя такие мысли бредовыми, чушью. Но, наверное, для любого маломальски вменяемого человека совершенно понятно, что России это не нужно.
Почему выступать против этого? Или все-таки есть место для...
Это будет означать, еще раз хочу сказать, уже не якобы гибридное, а уже прямое вовлечение, официальное вовлечение, нескрываемое вовлечение стран НАТО в войну против Российской Федерации. Этого допустить невозможно. И особенно на фоне вот этого нервного заявления Макрона вчера, что Россия и Европа это угроза. Значит, если это угроза, то вот войска должны быть против этой угрозы направлены.
И пресс-конференция завершена. Спасибо.
Relieving pressure on the Russian army could allow Moscow to start new battles in Europe, Business Insider reports, citing current and former ministers and retired officers. It is noted that Europe is seriously concerned about possible Russian aggression outside of Ukraine. Defence expert and former commander of the UK's chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear forces, Hamish de Breton-Gordon, has warned that the Russian war machine is currently in overdrive. He said a ceasefire in Ukraine without security guarantees would allow Russia to continue producing more tanks and aircraft, and take steps to improve its military. The former commander of the US Army in Europe, retired Lieutenant General Mark Hertling, said that refusing to provide aid to Ukraine without security guarantees risks giving Russian leader Vladimir Putin a reprieve to rebuild his forces and attack again. He also recalled that Russia has several frozen conflicts in Europe, including the so-called Transnistria. Putin could return to these places if his army is freed from fighting in Ukraine. Let us recall that recently, French President Emmanuel Macron stated that Putin will definitely go to Moldova and possibly further to Romania if he is not stopped. He warned that Russia posed a serious existential threat to Europe. Our security is at stake. We have an overarmed and aggressive Russia on our borders. According to him, if Washington agreed to sign a ceasefire without any security guarantees for Ukraine, then the US ability to exert geostrategic deterrence against Russia, China and others would disappear that same day. Donald Trump's ambitions are the opposite of this, the French president is sure. He is convinced that the United States has no choice but to resume dialogue with Ukraine. The obvious destiny of the Americans is to be on the side of the Ukrainians. I have no doubt about this. What the United States has done over the past 3 years is entirely consistent with its diplomatic and military traditions. I want to make it clear to the Americans that disengagement from Ukraine is not in their interests, he said. Macron also emphasized that everyone agrees to make peace, but there can be no just and lasting peace if Ukraine is abandoned to its fate.
Dust storms brought near-zero visibility to parts of New Mexico and West Texas, prompting the National Weather Service to issue dust storm warnings. According to Associated Press, the weak strong weather system will bring a threat of blizzard conditions, high winds, flash flooding, severe weather, dust storms, and critical to extreme fire weather conditions to the nation's heartland, according to a Weather Service update Monday. Video footage shot in Dexter, New Mexico, showed people pulled over along a road as a sandstorm blew through the area.